Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. A man, a microphone, and the most famous dresser on YouTube. Hi, welcome to the 200th episode of What's Up, Flobo, the original, the OG, the first, not the last, but your everything. I'm your guest host and Flobito soulmate, James Lott Junior, and I'm going to lead you through his 200th celebration. 200 episodes of anything is a big feat, and I'm so excited. I'm wearing a Brooklyn hat in honor of us. We both are from Brooklyn. I'm wearing Puerto Rico shirts. I have no New York shirts. Ready to go. And I have a Flobito tank top. It's a little too chilly. You would see all my nipplage in the beginning, so we're not doing that. And I brought my old school New York cup out, so I'll be drinking out of, so to help him celebrate. For somebody to do a show every week is consistent every week. It is something that's not for the faint at heart. We do these shows, you'll just wake up and do it. There's a lot of planning goes on behind these things. So we're going to celebrate him and find out how far he's come from that first episode nearly 2 years ago. Let's bring him in. Mr. Flobo Voice, the man of the hour.
I 1 minute in, you talk about your nipples and being cold. Brother, what?
I'm the crazy friend, you know that. So hi, Flobo. Congratulations, Felicidades.
Oh, yeah, Felicidades, man. Woo! I can't believe it. 200 episodes. I didn't think I'd be doing it, but if it wasn't for my mom watching every week, I would have canceled it 80 episodes ago. So.
Well, I'm glad. And shout out to Mom, who your mother watches at least something of yours. My mother doesn't watch anything of mine. So
yeah, it's a hard job, hard pull.
Yeah. So, Flo, we're going to talk about your whole life from the beginning of this to now. But first, of course, tell the folks where they can find you everywhere. Do your housekeeping.
Oh, we're doing the thing up. Yeah, you know the deal. Thank you so much for watching What's Up, Flobo. You can make sure you can support the homie multiple ways. Patreon.com/Flobo Boys. We call it the Boisterous Crew. We got some bonus content over there every single month. And you want to get yourself that kind of drip, get yourself a t-shirt or a hat or a mug. Flobito.threadless.com, man. Support the homie. And if you want to do the whole monthly thing, want to put a little money in that tip jar, buy me a coffee, man. I love caffeine, daddy.
He does. He likes caffeine. Does. He's a little snobby and bougie, so you can give him enough so you can get some the higher end coffee. I drink basically mud water. It's fine.
I'll do anything but Folgers personally. And my dad does instant. That is not why. What's the point of instant? But that's just another problem.
I miss Senka. Okay, so It's your 200th episode.
Yeah,
we're gonna do some numbers. This is some facts about your show that I discovered.
Oh wow. Okay.
So even though, okay. So these are the stats. 200 shows. One show was from the streets of Los Angeles. One show was from Vegas. One show recently was from Brooklyn in the Bay.
Wow, I'll take on the road. I guess that's true. I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. But most of the time, they're right here. And your premiere was almost 2 years ago on December 15, 2019.
So more than 2 years ago. Sweet.
Yeah, literally, it's like, well, as we're taping this, it's basically like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's called Stop Hustling was the title. 14 minutes and 50 seconds. Remains your most viewed show ever of this series.
All downhill after that. That's you're like, what the hell? Just all.
But your number 2 show was episode 3. It was titled in 2020, Make the Call. That was your number 2 show.
Yeah.
And tied for number 3, my first and last appearance on the show, which was episode 156. It was titled "I Lead" or something like that. I led Flobito. So that was my episode that was on was third highest.
People like that one.
Tied with episode 4, Dr. Flobito. So those are your top 4 shows of all time. Your brother was on your show once. The only other guest ever on the show, episode 100.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to your brother. You've done one show now too with a hat.
Oh.
And you've done 2 shows in a tank top. Those are my favorites.
I don't got much, man. I don't work out.
Shut them off, though. You're shutting them guns off.
Hey.
So those are your actual stats of your show. I don't know how many episodes, how much total, but I do have views. But yes. Yeah, we don't do that. But that's all your stats for your show. Is that all?
I would have sworn that yours would have been number 1. I feel like the one that we did with you had so much more feedback, engagement. I think.
Well, my episode had the most feedback. That's what it was.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. So that was that. Okay. So now we're going to see how much you've changed since episode 1. These are all based on. I almost feel like our friendship is almost as long, is a little long, slightly longer than your show. So it's kind of like I've seen you go through a lot of stuff.
Oh, well, thank you. Right?
Kind of, yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, but almost like, because at the time, we don't get that.
At the time, you was trash, and now you less than trash. Thanks, James.
First you're trash, now you're recycling. No. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the first thing I want to mention, this is the shady part of James Lott Junior.
Oh, shady part?
I kind of run right. The blinds, the lighting in the first episode.
Oh yeah.
Never do that ever again.
Oh well, this is a whole different setup. So this was
we're gonna talk about that too. But the setup,
for sure. This was it was impromptu. That morning, I was on my bedside table and I was like, man, I feel like talking about something. I didn't feel like writing the blog because I wrote blogs before. I used to have an author's blog at Flobito.com, but then when I went to the DJ job, everything became DJing. So I had all these ideas, had no place to write them. So I go, hey, let me start. And once I hit record, I was like, oh man, the blinds are in my face.
You mentioned it halfway through. You go, I'm like a zebra or whatever. I was like, yeah, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, you're right.
But see, as you're a producer, you're fully in this whole thing, and there's set up. Would you ever release anything like that ever again, like that, or no?
When I release it, no, it totally wasn't. I mean, Wassup Flobo is kind of cool because it's understood, it's kind of done in live, so I can do some of that. Like, let's say if I'm doing a show and a car drives by or hum and honk, I go like but like that would totally be no.
Yeah, so we couldn't see your handsome face.
That's debatable. I get swipe left a lot.
Okay. You also wore a Flagler sweatshirt.
Yeah, I still have it too.
Are you wearing a sweatshirt today?
Yeah, I am. So this is I actually have two or three house sweatshirts I wear around the house. This is from, I don't know if you can tell. This is from Roots, or it's like a Canadian company.
I know. I have 2 Roots sweatshirts.
Oh yeah, my buddy went to Winnipeg, and I was like, hey man, if you're out there, get me one because they're really good quality. But it was like literally 2 sizes too big, so I can't wear it outside. So I'm at home. I'm always like, I put on that heat. You know how much it costs out here? Whoo! So a lot of my videos,
I have 2 Roots sweatshirts.
They're great.
They're great. They are great. You still have the Flagler cheese sweatshirts. So that's good. Okay.
Yes, my alumni sweatshirt.
Okay. Now, 3, you were on a laptop.
I was.
Very different setup. You're on a laptop. So since then, now you have what your setup is now.
So now it's 2 24-inch curved monitors with a PC tower. That was what the first Stimmy came in, supported the business. I'll make sure I was all above board. But that laptop, it's funny. I took that one to New York. That was a laptop I used in New York. So it still exists. It's old as heck now. But yeah, my first couple episodes, I was shooting up because I was using the camera from the actual laptop until that Christmas. So 2 weeks after that, my mom had to give me money sometimes for Christmas. She goes, I don't know what to get you, get something. And so I try not to spend it on bills. I bought a webcam with that. So in 2020, I had an actual webcam.
That's so funny. I know. Yeah, you're shooting up. I was like, that's funny. That's why you used it for your Brooklyn, right? You used it.
Yeah, Brooklyn.
I love that. Are those the same headphones from the first episode?
Yes and no. They're the same model, but this is the second pair. So I had the other pair is my DJ headphones because they're a little cheap. They're like $30, but I like the fact that response is pretty flat. I like them. They don't really fray as other cheap ones do. Yeah. They have like the one leather sheet around it. But I love this model.
Yeah, that's
all my audiophile friends are like, "Oh my god, you're a DJ! How dare you use these?" But I'm like, I don't know. They're fine.
They work. Now behind you is a whole different setup now because you had a subway map with Mr. Met on it.
I still kind of do. It's just that my field of view is a little different. I don't know if you can see it.
There it is. So it's still up. Okay, it's still up.
Yeah. And
we have all that back there. So on the dresser, we got awards since then.
Yeah. So yeah, if I can go through it, this is the Nix Award. I got that one for being a host for Wassup Flobo After Hours, which is like my dearly departed late night talk show. And this one here is Blinded by the Light now is the video award I got for the Draped in Gold wrestling show, which is the one I do with Jack Farmer every Thursdays. So a lot of people who know me know that Thursdays is my tough day. That's one of the shows I do.
Yeah, I know. And you have the big, is that Justice League or sure? What is that back up there?
Yeah, those are bring it back in the big screen. These are all the superheroes in DC Comics. So from Green Lantern John Stewart all the way to Harley Quinn, and then there's Darkseid in the middle. If you watch Justice League Snyder Cut, you'll know Darkseid. But I'm a DC guy, and of course, it's kind of funny if you could talk about this. I know you have a question about it. The fake plant I got for Christmas. Okay, and then the most famous dresser in the game, my actual dresser is in this.
Actual dresser, it works.
I come out the shower every day, like, is my camera flap up?
Oh my god!
I always have to check. I always like.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Yeah. Yes, and I just watched the new Batman trailer about an hour ago.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Came out, so the Catwoman's in it. So,
and I hate Batman. I thought it was pretty good. It's true.
How can you hate Batman?
He is the symbol of white privilege. Him and his fancy house, just because he ain't got no parents. Everyone says, "Oh, you're a billionaire. Go ahead." I'm just saying. I was an Iron Man. I love DC Comics, but Iron Man was my rich billionaire character. Because at least Iron Man drank back then in the comics. He had a problem. Bruce Wayne didn't. He just was rich.
That's true. I agree with that one. I like that one. We mentioned on your show, you say, I don't want to put on back here. Maybe I'll get some, and maybe I'll get some fake plants. You actually use those words. You have a fake plants.
I said when the millions start coming in, I'll get a fake plant. And my friend Mandy from Virginia actually was at her wedding as a groomsman. She got me a fake plant right after this one. So it's kind of like, here you go. So it became a housewarming thing. People always ask, should I get more? Should I get a real plant? I go, no, this is fine. Because it was a gift. It cost me nothing. It was great.
No, it's good. It looks good. You actually mentioned on your show, you got a fake plant. You got a fake plant. But you didn't buy it. So that's really interesting. You didn't buy it. Okay. Also at the time, when you started the show, you and I both were at AfterBuzz TV. And you mentioned that, now check me out at the hosting and Flobo and Wrestling and Raw and all that stuff. So that was a very different time. So, I mean, back then you were doing AfterBuzz TV, kind of give us a 7th day, and then this was something extra you started, because we'll talk about doing Amsterdam in a second too, but this was like you just decided to vlog something. Like you just said
Yeah, so after Buzz TV, I was doing the wrestling shows and all the other like superhero shows, and people in the chat had questions that were not appropriate for the show, but questions that I wanted to answer. So like after episode 2, it was like I want to do like live Q&As. I want to be able to answer questions or whatever. And it turns out that those fans do not go with me, the talent. They go with the network. So I said, hey guys, I have a question show. No one cared, but I want to keep doing the show. But the idea was I'm at work talking about wrestling on Monday nights, but when Wassup Flobo's up, I can answer your questions, hang out, and chill. And that's why it was called Wassup Flobo, because Steph Sabra, who worked at AfterBuzz, used to say, "What's up, Noah?" when I walked into the studio. You know,
I love that. My girl Steph. So let's translate that to now. I just started doing kind of vlog shows and talk shows, kind of. For fun, because we do shows that are, I don't know the way I'll say it. I do have a jury people. I do have a jury. But we do other shows that actually have a theme. They actually have a thought, or we have co-hosts or whatever. So do you feel like this is your chance just to kind of relax a little bit? Then the other shows are much more structured. I feel like for me, that's what it is too. I get to just relax.
There is some anxiety for some weeks where I don't have something to talk about, and I go, I have to do the show for Wednesday. But yeah, What's Up Flobo is really designed to be chilled out, not to do some cross promotion. But in my book, Graduation Day, available now on Amazon.
Always,
in the chapter about wrestling, I talk about giving people the show. And so even though I always make fun of her, my mom has become like the one person I think about when I do the show. There's many times I'm like, no one cares. I'm going to cancel this. But one person buys a ticket every week. She just has to be my mom. Let me see what I can do that. But in doing that, I say, hey, look, this movie's on my mind. I want to talk about it. Or this political issues on my mind. Chappelle's on my mind. Whatever. I can talk about it in this space because I know my mom's buying a ticket.
Now, I want some public recognition because not only does your mother watch the show every week, so does James Lott Jr. I watch his show.
How much more recognition do you want? Thank you so much, James Lott Jr., for being a supporter on Patreon, patreon.com/FloboBoys, being an ear to listen to when I have specific questions about my career, for being somebody who's put me on to be a voice actor and a songwriter. I don't know how much praise you want. I can keep heaping it on if you like, but it's a whole different show. I'm just saying.
But folks, I do watch the show too. Always comments. I like the show. It's fun. It's fun. We get to learn. We get to learn about. If you guys should watch. So if you guys are new to this and haven't watched the show, you get to learn about him. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually a real person.
He's a real person, folks. Do you miss anything about AfterBuzz?
Two things. One, there was something really cool because I used to write my shows while the shows were happening, but there's something really cool about having a format, handing it to a producer, sitting down, getting the countdown, and going, "You on?" And you're broadcasting to a lot of people. That to me is what I think a lot of people think of what hosting is, but for me, it was learning. There's no point in turning back. You can't be like, "Well, I think that's a skill." That sometimes you can get lazy here. If I'm doing Wassup Flobo, which now sometimes I record on Tuesdays, if I start off wrong, I can hit stop and start over. But at AfterBuzz, you couldn't do that. It isn't that luxury. And second of all, depending on what vertical you were in, if you were in soaps, wrestling, or whatever, there was a bit of a camaraderie there. There are people like you can sit there, talk shop with, and game with. I miss that. I think that was kind of the coolest parts. You know, Christy Olsen put me on because she saw me in the hallway one time, and I got myself in that group. So that's the thing I miss about it. But as far as the other things, it was a good chapter in my life. You know, my plan was to go there and to be so known from AfterBuzz that as a comedian, I would get booked as a comic with a following. Didn't work out that way, but it was fine.
Yeah, I took AfterBuzz, their motto seriously. You come in, you gather knowledge, gain a following, leave. That's what I was told from the very beginning. It's like, this is a place not to be. Now I was there. I was there. God, I was there. What, 7 years? It's a long time.
Damn.
You know, it's like it's so crazy, right?
I think a year and a half in my case.
Yeah, so it's like, but I was always told you gain a following, you got to build your craft, and that's one thing I miss. I miss seeing certain people. I miss. I did. That's the one thing, but seeing certain people and actually having that experience of being like live to tape, it's kind of like you're on there, countdown, go. It's an adrenaline rush. I don't miss the drive out there. I don't miss the going all the way out there. You like me, we don't live near there at all.
Well, if you're talking about the dream of Flobito, right, hosting the variety show is very similar. If you go into a late night talk show taping, it's like, all right, guys, counting down, and you let's make a deal, right? I saw you at a taco. You know how it is. You get on stage and 1, 2, 3, let's go, and it becomes just like production. I kind of want that. You know?
And Flo and I never did a show at AfterBuzz together. Our worlds never collided. He wasn't there long.
See how it is.
I didn't think you were worthy yet, so I wasn't sure.
Oh, true. I also have to watch Days of Our Lives. Again, Mom, if you're listening, I tell them the same story every time, that we used to go up to Vesta House and watch Days of Our Lives in the 90s using footage from the 80s where the guy from The Nanny was on it. And he's like, that's great. Also 30 years ago, but that's great.
And the guy from The Nanny now is on General Hospital.
Oh, what? Really?
I'm sorry, he's another character on General Hospital. So
I might be a new fan then. Mr. Sheffield.
He looks good too. He looks good. I'm like, oh, Charles
Shaughnessy. So European.
It's so, oh my God, it's so British, right? Okay. Well, here's another thing. Back then, you mentioned a lot of on the show.
1 L, 1 T on this show. We don't do puns. We mentioned more.
Yet.
He says yet. He says yet. Okay.
I mean, oh my God. It's drawn that way, Flo. Folks, it's Jessica Rabbit reference. You don't know that. Okay. You mentioned comedy a lot, and you being a comedian, and you have albums. That's a very major thing. I know you personally, so I know where you're kind of at now. But is there anything you want to share with now, kind of where you're at in that sphere?
Can you be more specific? I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, I'm saying that you don't feel like a comedian anymore half the time.
Oh, okay, okay, gotcha.
So I'm saying that back then you were so like, I'm a comedian.
Oh yeah. So 2 years later, what the hell was I thinking? Like I said, 2019 was a different world. 2019, no, the end of 18 is when I graduated AfterBuzz. You have to take a class to graduate.
Oh, so
right. The plan 19 was to be the biggest star. When that didn't happen, the plan for 2020 was to go out on the road and be a bigger comedian. I was at a crossroads in my career, and unfortunately, the pandemic stopped me and go, okay, I guess I'm everybody. Not much me complaining. I realized Zoom shows weren't my thing. I realized my writing had slowed down, even with the 2 albums out there. But then when things were opening up, I was a bit hesitant to go back. With the variants around. Back then it was like Delta or Charlie. Charlie and Delta were around. And also, I told you just one time on the phone, it's like all my comedic friends who weren't knocked out of the game, because some quit, they went back to work. Not one phone call. Like, not like, hey, what you doing? Any other shows, any venues, anything you're doing? Like, I felt like I had detached myself from this. I'm not sure if it was kind of like the community was done with me. Maybe it was a sign for me. So I'm a bit unsure of what that is. The only thing I can do now is write. And if I love the material so much, to be compelled to perform it, I want to. In my head, I'm really to do one more either or. If I never do comedy again, I still want to do one more. If I do one more last ride and it becomes to reignite the flames, that's something else. But I'm still, I think, community first. I think of all my shows from a comedy perspective. I know, like I said on the thing, I think if someone gave me one salary to DJ and half that to do comedy, I'll pick comedy, every time, because that to me is fun. This is fun. My name is me. I get to be myself. It's great.
I know, here's the thing. You just said you said a mouthful just now. That I think there's a lot of nuggets. There's a lot of nuggets in there. The whole thing is, not to put on my life coaching hat or anything, but it just feels like there's so many things that you said that are really true. It could be a thing where you get back on stage and then feel it. Like you'll know. Like you'll know. You'll be like, that was I just missed it. I just had a low moment. I want to continue. Or you go on there and go, I'm done. That was nice, and extra stage left. I mean, like, I feel like literally next stage left. No, I feel like that makes sense. It's almost like I'm gonna write one more book. I'm gonna see how it feels. If the process just sucks, sing one more song or do one more dance or one more painting. I totally get it. I know.
That was graduation day. Graduation day was written to be the last book ever. It was written. I was like, look, my last book before that was so poorly sold. My own family didn't like it because I had to edit it myself. I couldn't afford to. My editing skills were not good, and my mom always tells me it wasn't good. I was like, I was hesitant to write. In fact, graduation day was supposed to be a novel called The New Colossus, and I have one page written of that. And when that fell through, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna be nonfiction. First time, if it sucks, that's it. And that's why I always tell people, I expected 3 books sold. And when it blew up, I was like, oh, damn, maybe I should keep writing. And so maybe that may happen with comedy.
And here's the thing. He also wrote 2 books in my series, and I love those books, and they sold. So,
yeah.
Let me see. I mean, are you right? I just think you get in your head too much.
That's true. I agree. I ain't gonna fight that.
I was saying, so you're always so your challenge, and I think it can be scary. Being a creative person, it's all we're all over the place. We really are.
That's true.
Some days we feel amazing, and some days we're like, I'm trash. I can't. What am I doing? This is horrible. It happens. I don't really do that myself, but I know people do that, of course.
Okay.
I'm confident in who I am. So.
Oh, that's great. Good to know. Yeah. Must be nice.
It's nice. But you're hilarious. You make me laugh all the time. But no, I told him on something that I wanted. I'm scared of stand up. I know everybody's like, what? You're fearless and everything else. I'm scared of stand up. But one day I want to do a stand up somewhere. He has to be there when I do it. Him, my girl Lucretia, like, so key people have to be there with me when I do it. And maybe it could be the night you do yours, maybe. It could be say we both do it or something. Who knows? But that's something I want to do. But I'm also trying to feel out this whole variance and stuff, what's going on there. But that's something I want to do before I die. I want to do at least one stand up routine.
Oh, we'll definitely make it happen. We book a show together and have opening acts, because that's the thing I know about booking shows. That since you're new at comedy, everyone will come out and see you. So you'll pack the house, and I'll totally use that for my advantage.
That's how you do it. I've taught you well. Okay, good. But I hope that you. But again, you said so many gems in there. Hopefully, you'll figure it out. It'll come to you, and you'll figure it out. That's kind of how life is. You mentioned also New Amsterdam Radio, which again just kills me because it's a pun just sitting there. But I know it means something else. But I love it so much. Like a boisterous crew, just makes me just warm inside. But back then, it was just audio. You mentioned on the show how this is a video project. That was audio. Wassup Flobo is just video. It's not audio, right? So now you've been showing though later the episodes.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about that.
So by that time, there was still no guests on that show. That New Amsterdam, between episodes 0 and 41, was me on my phone with an app called Anchor, just saying, hey, today's episode is that. This is pretty cool for creatives, and uploading it. So there was no reason to put it on because there was no cameras being done. Yeah. It really was the pandemic. It was a pandemic with my high school friends saying, I'm being on your show. let's make this happen. I had to figure out how to make guest work, how to record people. And then when that happened and I opened up a Patreon, I go, okay, maybe there's a little view for that video podcasting slice of it. But it really was just me reading the newspaper and going, hey, that's something cool that creators will like and adore. And it was a secret project. The first 20 episodes I recorded, I didn't tell anybody, because my last podcast was so flat in rating for so long, I thought no one cared. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it when I feel like it. It's just for me, not a big thing. And then 25, I was like, hey, what do you think? 40, my friend jumped on, and that became a thing. And now that's the main revenue driver or whatever, because I think that the quality of guests we're getting is getting a bit of a following on that space.
That's good. That's good. I was on there once. That's good.
Really? Just once?
I think only one time.
No, you were on there twice. You were there episode 50 and episode 85. It was one with you, just you, and one of JLJ Christmas.
Oh, that's right. So it was twice. You're right. I remember the 50.
Yeah.
I forgot the Christmas. I did. Yeah, we did Christmas. I was on there twice.
Disc.
So I know. I'm old. I can't remember. Okay,
you did everything I've done though.
And I've done every except for Star Wars or wrestling ones, but everything else
right.
Yours.
Right.
Okay, so now, do you have, like for me, I did the AfterBuzz model. I have a lot of audio and video together. Then I have a couple of shows that are just audio and a couple of shows that are just video. Like Forgotten Hollywood's just audio. Bold Beautiful Rewind's just audio. But I have, like my GH stuff is both. It's I offer both Y&R, it's both. So I'm like, for you, do you have mostly, how's your stuff set up actually?
I don't think I have just audio anymore. It was New Amsterdam, but New Amsterdam is video, Netflix is video and audio, wrestling is video and audio, Star Trek is now video and audio. It used to be just video. So the idea is to give every one of those a backup type deal, if not just make it video, because I have StreamYard. The way I look at it is I'm getting my money's worth. It's going to be video first, and then if I decide to make it a podcast version, I'll do that. But yeah, I think there's currently 5 podcasts in the audio realm. It's the Star Trek, the wrestling, the Netflix, the Dearly Departed, After Hours, and New Amsterdam. Those 5.
Okay, because I know for me, some of my audio does way better than my video, as my video does way better than my audio. So
agreed. So wrestling does better in audio, right? Because I guess people listen to that while they're doing other things, and in Japan, it's amazing. Even Netflix on YouTube is like 6 or 7 views, but our chart. It's the only thing that charts worldwide is the Netflix show in Saudi Arabia and Middle East and Africa and Australia and basically Asian countries. Their slice of Hollywood comes through me. So for a lot of people, the only access they have to my brand is Netflix. This is why I still do the show, even though my YouTube views are like minuscule.
Yes. No, I get it. So we talk about this. This is not getting to the weeds. So I'm just saying it's one of those things where we have to figure out out of the weeds. I shall say. Anywhere I go, it's a plant. You see, I got a plant over here too. I got a plant over here. I just grabbed it. I don't even know which was real, which was fake. They're just all here. No, but I always we have to figure out as our own selves to figure out what is success on some level, like, and why to do continue regular shows we do. Not a network like on TV where they go by actual millions of numbers and stuff. So for me, it's always like, okay, well, this show is low rated but highly interactive. It gets a lot of attention by a lot of people. They seem to like it. They talk about it. There's a lot of chatter. So I keep that show because it's fun to do. I guess the most engagement. That's what I was looking for. Most engagement.
Right.
And of course, I have shows that chart over the world too. I get this thing called Chartable, and I get every week. I get the whole thing. I'm shocked too. I'm like, my Falcon Crest after show is a big hit across Europe. Like, okay,
yeah.
I mean, like again, I get like maybe 100 views on something here, but over there, it's like it's number 52.
Right.
25 or number 15. And remember, Marissa Serafini and I were talking the other day about our win call. Like, it's number 12 in Bulgaria or whatever. I just don't.
You're right, and sometimes you have like After Hours was the hardest things to cancel because it was highly rated on video, highly rated on audio. But to me, I couldn't do it myself anymore. I couldn't sustain the quality over time. But it's cool to see that people were coming in live. Dozens of people were coming in live to interact with something. You made a community. You made fellowship as a same church.
Yeah, they do. It does. I mean, well, you see mine. I got my Hardys, my some people. I mean, yes, I know.
Yeah, for sure.
Very much. You mentioned it's a little just a mention, made me laugh because he's always in the news these days. You mentioned something about Elon Musk, and I just chuckled.
Oh yeah.
and whatever. And I was like, that's so just ironic that 2 years later he's still in the news, he's still in the consciousness. Not for good reason.
think back then it was a Cybertruck was his big thing. Like he made
Yeah.
a truck. Now it's like he's gone crazy.
I know someplace like he's like, yeah. I just when you mentioned that. You also mentioned you're thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do because I have a degree. Here's what's funny. And we'll talk about this too. We'll talk about this too.
Am I in
A
trouble?
little later, a little bit in a second. But you mentioned film reviews, which you don't do on this show, and you don't really have a film review show, but you do have some film reviews mixed on your other shows.
Yeah.
Kind of. Like if you had a guest off from that or your Netflix thing. So talk about that.
So the main thing about the Netflix show, or I push the fact that I'm a film school graduate in that show because I want to, like AfterBuzz says, prove you're an expert, right? So I have a degree. Let's talk about what works and what doesn't. But sometimes I have like an actor who's a creative. I'll have them on New Amsterdam. If someone is an actor comedian, I'll have them on After Hours. The idea is that I don't want to be seen as pretentious and still trying to like be the funny guy too. I think it's different when we have something and we break it down to pieces that are shareable. You can laugh over it. I think we take information and knowledge way easier when it's a joke. What's a joke? What's a good time? What's a conversation of being like, so what was the inspiration? Which novels do you like? I can do that if someone gave me the opportunity, sure. But on my channel,
That's what I do on my channel.
Okay.
Whatever. You're like, I don't want to do all that stuff. I do it on my channel.
You can. People can do that. Our friend Phil Svitek does that a lot too. I'm just not him. I just can't do that and do like. So anyway, in wrestling this week, we had to me it's too much of a jump, but it's definitely possible.
You mentioned Twitch. Are you better on Twitch now, 2 years later?
Yes and no. I got the PC to do it. I have the things to do it. I'm not confident in my skills as a player to do it without getting it public. But when I do all my shows that are live, I stream to Twitch. So I have more hours logged on Twitch now. I think I have over 100 followers on Twitch now. So it is better in that way.
Okay. Rocket League. How's that
going? My team that I play for is terrible. But it's cool because they drafted me, so they're fine. But the casting thing, and that is the video game commentary, is done very well for me. They're working for schools and organizations. I got flown out to Los Angeles because everyone else got flown out, but I was in town for the Boys and Girls Club of Hollywood. I got to interview Terry Crews this year because his son plays Rocket League. So that game has given me so much. It came at a real good time for me when I was unemployed because each game is like 5 minutes on the clock. So I would say my head is weighed down by bills and rent and trying to find work. I'm going to play this game at the end of the hour and then move on to something else. So aside from that, to it being a way to like get my name out there and draw revenue and have people call me up and say, hey, can you interview Terry Crews? It's pretty awesome.
You're really good at it. You're really good at it. You sound very professional. You do. You're really good at it. I heard. I was like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but I was like, oh, that sounds really good. Are you a better host?
Yes. Yes, I am. And I think the one thing that I got better at is filling time. Writing a show in a format in a way that if someone jumps in and my questions don't get asked, I don't get mad. And if someone doesn't have anything, I can pull stuff out from. And I think After Hours was the best show for that because it was late. Everyone was sleepy. It was trying to make that a thing and make it a show. So yeah, I'll say that. Plus, you do things for hours a day, late, you don't improve. That would be a problem, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You're still DJing weddings, correct? In 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, still doing it. Still doing it.
You're still doing that. And the beard. Looks good. You got a beard the first time around. It was a little scraggly.
Yeah. It's still struggling now. I was supposed to go back this week, but Omicron was like, nah. So I'm kind of into the holidays. Yeah, I'm still into the holidays. But yeah, it was interesting because my first beard came from me being unemployed. I used to grow up my beard when I was unemployed, and I would get hired. I would shave it. But then I went to see my mom in Barbados in 2018. She was like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. And I was like, fine. I shaved it off. But then after I shaved it off, I had met Kevin Nagaro a little bit later. I saw him before and after picture. He goes, oh, I love the beard. In fact, you should grow it out a little more. And then that was kind of it. So from the end of 18, 19 till now, I just kept the beard on. But as those are the most visible years I've been. So people only know me looking that way. So yeah, it's like I have a guy cut it, which is really weird.
You're handsome both ways, but I like the beard.
Well, you think so? I don't know. Sometimes they debate if it's worth it. I don't know.
The beard or the goatee. I mean, if it's like a little, or even more trim, looks good on you. Looks good on
Yeah,
you.
you're right.
It's funny, but looking at AfterBuzz stuff, yeah, you didn't have a beard. It's so fast for you. It was light beard, but you were
It was light.
oh,
Yeah. I had to keep it clean shaven, and I would forget and then get the razor bumps, and then I'll grow that out. But then actually, yeah, I know, right? Actually, having a curated beard has only been like 3 years of my life.
Yeah, folks, razor bumps are not fun. And black men, back in the day, little side note, back in the day, my grandfather, my stepfather used to use Magic Shave. And literally, it's like putting acid on your face. It's white, and you like scrape it off for a close shave for black men, especially because a lot of black when we get that. I get it. I always get it. That's the black part of me. It's all on my neck.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You get that. So to find a good, it's really imperative for us to find a good facial regimen, a good shaving regimen. It's very important for us black men, especially. We got to find.
I use Bump Rid, which is like the liquid version. It's like a deluxe.
Okay.
Put it in
there. It's crazy, but for some reason we have a different type of skin that when it comes to the hair follicles, it's very different.
Yeah, the hair curls back into it.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. It hurts, folks. It hurts. Okay. So the last set of questions is about actually on the episode is called Stop Hustling. So I ask him some thoughts about if his thoughts have changed a bit since then. Back then. And one of them is, this is so funny. I think I kind of noticed already a little about you, but sharing your accomplishments, and you mentioned this a little bit a second ago, and your degrees. For you, I know it's a thing. Back then, you were saying, I don't want to, actually, back then, you talked about a few things you did because this is your first show. You're like, I have a degree in film. But I know that you're not a big fan of sharing how smart or accomplished you are.
Don't put it like that. You hate talking about how smart you are. Look,
I think you're smarter than you put out there. I think it's funny to be funny and all that crap, whatever. But I think you're a smart black man. I think we need to show more of that. We need to show more of that.
I think intelligence is one thing. I think the problem I have is education because I always, even though my parents and your parents too probably like say, hey, look, get your degrees. For me, education is always a personal pursuit. I have an undergraduate degree in communications. I want to go more. I have a master's degree in film production. That's it. But I would never go to a party and be like, oh, he doesn't even have a master's degree. You know what I mean? Like when I dated my girlfriend, for the first 5.5 years we're together, she didn't finish college. She had a high school diploma. Did I care about that? No. But then I meet people like my dad who doesn't have an advanced degree. My mom has an advanced degree. They're both smart in their own way. So I get really curious about that. So that's why I'm kind of like, if you care, I guess I have a degree. Yes, it's a grad school degree, but it's an art. Whatever.
I guess my person is like, no one says to be a dick about it or like kind of like, be like, I just feel like you should never downplay if you have these accomplishments, you have them. You should showcase them appropriately when you have them. I know exactly. You started it now. Yes, you won more awards than I have. So I mean,
for now, yeah, you'll get your awards. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think my time is over. But no, I always think that for especially and almost on a deeper level, just because we are black men in this business, we gotta show sometimes that we're not just these talking heads that just came up here and just started doing shows. Like we actually have big shit behind us, excuse my language, that we actually that build up who we are today. And I think it's a way to do it. I'm gonna say you don't have to just I agree with you, just go out there. It's like, well, I am shady that way. But the whole point is you are smart, you have some degrees, you have some accomplishments. Never be afraid to show them or use them in appropriate ways when you need to. That's
all right, Dr. Lott. That's right. I know what you're doctor.
That's a lot. I am.
Dr. Lott.
I am. So, but I'm not afraid to. I'm not afraid to tell people my stuff. Not at all. But I just think back then you were showing it. Okay, number two. You were talking about, I think it's still true today. I kind of agree with this. You were saying how these couples you use the word hustle. So, and I agree with that also too. I stopped saying I'm a hustler. I stopped saying that because someone told me once that's like almost a negative connotation to it too. But you mentioned how I don't see if you feel the same way. That everybody's trying to outbusy each other.
Yeah. And
I say the same thing. It was like, I don't get 4 hours of sleep. I only get 2 hours of sleep. It's like, that's not a badge of honor. I love sleep. So I sleep 7 hours if I
can. Right.
I take naps. I don't care. I'm trying to do anything. But so do you still feel the same way now that you've been in this for at least 2-3 years at this portion of the game?
Yeah.
You do multiple things like I do. Are you still the same tip of like this? I'm not a hustler. I'm just a worker bee who does stuff.
Yeah, when someone is saying they're hustling, I guess I evolved to the point to go, okay. But when I say I'm a guest on a show and goes like, man, you're hustling, I go, I'm not really hustling. I'm just doing this. Because to me, I feel like we do things with intention, right? Hustling just implies some kind of like recklessness or busyness or saying I've done all these things. I call them collecting slashes, I think, on the video.
Yeah, you
Collecting
did.
slashes.
You did
Yeah, I'm a belly dancer / pimp player / but at the same time, I go, I want to do things well. One of my heroes, or my hero growing up, was Tony Danza. Because Tony Danza took time to become a teacher, a boxer, a ukulele player, an actor, a jazz musician. Like, he took time to do all those things separately, and he had the time to do that. He wasn't trying to hustle for the sake of hustling. It wasn't like, I want to hit that ukulele market and then become a boxer on the side. Like, he was never like that at all. But that's what I'm saying. So I feel like hustling is something we say to be cool, but it's not really helping. It's hurting us.
I agree, and I have learned that for me, and I think you said this on one of my, either you or Tony Moore, my friend, said this on one of my shows. I'm a person who goes into, I know that's not a theme song, the second best theme song next to your between Hums and Mania Love. No, that when you guys said it, was with me, I do stuff for six. I love it. That I turn it into a career. Like, I don't just hustle either hustle. Like you said, I was just going to go, if I do a song, maybe I'll be rich. Like, no, I actually like music, so I do music, and then I somehow turn it into something. I like writing, so I write. So I can't agree with you. I had to change my mindset and go to, I'm not a hustler anymore. I don't say that word anymore. I'm not a hustler. I'm a guy who creates a lot of stuff and has his hands in a lot of pots and puts it out.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I sleep, folks.
Yes, he does.
I do. I like some sleep. Another thing you said, you hope to make progress. That's the thing about hustling too. It's about not just hustling, but are you making progress? So it's Flobo making progress.
I think so. I like to think of myself as an intellectual. And by that, I mean, there is knowledge you keep in the bag, but you want to get more and ask questions and be dumb and have new techniques and learn things. When you start closing that off, that's when you say, oh, I've been doing it for 20 years. I know what I'm doing. And so since I've never been that way, I think I am making progress. I think in 2019, if it's not for my webcam and my computer progress, unless learning to be a better host, or if someone gave me a chance to say, hey, look, I'll give you a perfect example of this. A minute ago, we talked about stretching for time. The time I met Terry Crews, they told me, hey, look, he's with his son. You won't have time to talk with him. Cool. At the end of the thing, they go, hey, look, we only got 90 seconds with Terry Crews, so ask your top questions. And I did. So I'm sitting with Terry Crews, asking all the questions. I look up, they go, stretch 10 minutes. I'm like, 10 minutes? From 2 was a lot. And what you'll see there is me just putting the wheels to motion and make this happen. That wouldn't have happened without the years of practice doing this. So, yeah, I think I'm making progress for sure. I need an audience. Get me an audience, James.
I'm trying. Oh, I am. No, that's a great call you have. That's great. I had a thing where a big time soap actor, he said, James, you can have him in 20 minutes. And I had nothing prepared. I was in the middle of another interview. And I was like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, you doing this? My phone is like, can you do this? I'm like, yes, I can do it in 20 minutes. And then got off and it went on to him and just had, okay, well, you know his career, so just stretch and just do it. And I had that is a trait that good hosts have. A lot of us who've done live usually do that. A lot of us who know the chaos of live and that kind of thing. It's the organized chaos of live. We can do that. So that's a good thing. A good trait to have. Plus, you're also a DJ and stuff. So you kind of know that you have to pivot and change all the time.
I prefer live, by the way.
What?
I prefer live.
I kind of do too. I'm doing a lot more actually recorded stuff at the moment, but I do like live. I like live. It's to me, it's home for me. Live is home for me. I was done on one of my other shows. I get a little more mistakes when I'm recording. When I'm live, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Right.
Go.
No net.
No net at all. All right. Last couple of questions as we wrap this up. It's the longer edition.
Yeah.
Of this.
I don't know if my mom's listening to all this now. Probably 2 sittings.
Come on, Mom. Just break it up. Break it up. Do first 15 minutes, girl.
I don't like my son that much. Gee. Hey, on, Brett.
That's so funny. Again, Mom, you're lucky because my mother doesn't watch any of my stuff. So I keep saying I'm salty about that still. So she used to. Okay. Last 2 questions. One question is, do you ever say what's up outside of these shows?
I'm on myself usually, so no. I will say sup via text. And I refer to myself as Flobito. So probably like, sup, Flobito, but not like, what's up, Lobo? Like I said, it's even though Steph Sabra has left me unread, and she's never done any of my shows, and she doesn't even respond to say no thanks. There was something cool about Steph Sabra being as the kind of person she is to feel welcome when you walk in the room. Like I felt like I was part of her crew, even though it clearly shows that I wasn't. So I think that was kind of a cool brand to have. You know what I mean? So but I don't ever say, what's up, Lobo? What's up, Lobo?
That's just a good question. So when you look at yourself, you refer yourself as Flobito first or Flobo first?
My name is Flobo Boys, yeah, but like Flobito was like the name of my first car, and when I went to go get Flobo.com, it was taken, so I got Flobito.com. Yeah. But when I'm thinking like, oh, come on, James, or come on, dude, it's usually come on, Flobito, think. It's my nickname of my nickname, or my nickname of my name, which is actually not my legal name. So it became like a come on, Flobito, think it. But like if someone says, hey, Flobito, they tend to be an AfterBuzz host because of the Flobito.com thing. So like it's almost kind of weird to become like my family the quickest because they say the thing I call myself.
I never knew about you. That's so funny. I'm like, oh yeah, like someone's like James. Like, well, actually, I say James Lott Junior. I say it to myself all the time. James Lott.
Yeah, when I DJ Flobito as well. You know, Flobito.
That's so funny. Oh, I never thought it was funny. The last question is, from then to now, what is the biggest lesson you have learned in terms of this whole world of creating content? From that first episode to 200, what is the biggest thing you've learned about creating content about yourself?
That no matter what happens, I'm going to need a place to think. Even though it came from a place of loneliness, the first couple episodes, I was by myself in my apartment. But when I wasn't by myself, I was the kind of person that would say, okay, this time I want to go and create stuff. And that is a good thing to have discipline-wise, but no one is that disciplined when they start out. And so I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of time to think, and then a world shutting down, and have more time to think, to understand what that is. If I get out of this apartment and I get like a high rise somewhere else, I like to have a certain space where I create. But if you mean like technically what I learned is don't worry about the views, even though I make fun of that. For me, is more important is having the engagement, right? Having people retweet, like, and share, as opposed to being like, 25 views or 100 views or whatever. Because if you think of that, then everything would have been canceled by this point, because that many of my shows break 100 views in the first week. But I think understanding it's a good show, you love it, a chance to improve is always good things.
And also things that I'm learning, because I do a couple of shows, and you do too, with wrestling, that are popular subjects. People can find you later. Sometimes you'll be all of a sudden, you're like, I have how many views all of a sudden? Like, it's like because they went to everybody else and they're looking for content, then you pop up. Yeah. Remember the first one, and I mean, even me, I mean, I've been in business a long time too, but I'm on top of some things I'm still buried, and I'm moving up. And so they finally get to me, and I go, oh, this week I got this many. Oh, okay, that's great.
Yeah. TV shows do live +7. And just to give you an example of the wrestling shows, my YouTube views are this, but then add in YouTube, the live Twitch, the live Twitter. I put my videos on Twitter also. Within 7 days, I make 9 times the views at just my YouTube. Whatever my YouTube views are, times 9 or times 10. Yeah. So like there is people, there are audiences. It's just scattered.
It's scattered. That's what it is. Right? That's true. That's very true. And my wish for you is to go viral at some point. As a person who's gone viral many times,
jealous.
I want you to go through the experience. So you can say, James, you are right. It's crazy. Okay. Just for that. That's all I want you to go viral for. I'm just kidding.
Well, if I'm on a game show and someone clips me out doing something dumb, that'd be the worst kind. That'd be the worst kind. Oh no.
And that's what people go viral. I'm telling you.
I have been on 2 of those encounters.
You have actually. But Flobo, congratulations. 200 episodes is not something to sneeze at. It's not something to sneeze at all. I think very highly of you myself. I just think you're a great guy, and so you're one of my closest friends. Who knew that in the last 2 years? Who knew that was going to be you and I? We're very different. We're not very different. We actually have a lot in common.
I'm an old man. I accept that. I am an old soul. I can't be bothered half the time. I'm usually inside, so I see that.
Yes, and I'm very youthful in many ways. So maybe we meet somewhere in the middle somewhere, I guess. That's the old man. So you know where to find him. So now it's my turn to promote myself.
Oh, here we go. There you go. Bam. Go ahead.
All right. I am James Lott Jr. I have my own network called JLJ Media. And if you want to see more of Flobito or Flobo Boys or anything, he is on there. He's on a lot of my shows too, actually. So you can just type in his name within my channel, and his stuff will pop up. That's right, will pop up. So subscribe to that channel. It's JLJ Media. That's the channel. Also, I have audio dramas and audio podcasts. They're on every single streaming service you can think of under JLJ Media or under the actual podcast themselves. But go anywhere: Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, and again, you can type in Flobito's name there too, and you'll see all the audio versions of what he's been on my shows. If you're just a Flobito fan, just want to figure out what more in relation to me, just check those out there too. But check those out. Follow, hit any of them. I have everything, so just check out. There should be something for you. Just trust me. Also, we do music together. And so we're on every streaming platform you think of for music. We have several songs out. You're like, well, as Color Renata's calling me right now. How funny.
Oh,
you know, a friend of ours, as we do content creation. But anyway, so we have songs out. We have an album coming out this year. So stay tuned for that. We're doing the finishing touches. We did the album cover. So that's how we had a photo shoot. So that's all done. Yes.
yeah.
And we have some great songs. I just finished a couple more songs. We're going to have a great time. You'll be able to hear both of us doing songs from each other coming out under Voice Slot. So I'm still working on a title, but it'll be out this year. But our music is already out there. Go to any place, type in James Lott Jr. and Flobo Boys, and you'll see our music. Also, I have books. Yes, I do. On Amazon. Over 50, 67 books out there. Flobo has 2 underneath my umbrella.
Hey.
The Pill series, parts 8 and 9. They're really good. And I'm going to commission with you maybe a couple other ones. We're going to talk about that. But so you check that out and see that he is writing fiction and nonfiction. So check those out. Plus the audio dramas. He is the leads in Mistletoe Road and Peppermint Winters. Those are on every streaming service also. So Mistletoe Road is out now, but he's not in the last 2 episodes. So he's not in those 2 episodes, but he's in the first part of the season. So check those out for your audio drama pleasure. Him doing audio dramas on that series there too. And he's on a couple others too. So just check those out. You can hear him on those too. I think that's all those things. Yeah, that's all those things there. And you can follow me. We're all James Lott Jr.'s Soul. Yes, at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. I am for sale. I really am for the right price. I'm also a professional organizer and life coach. And as of this being released, it is my 13-year anniversary of being in Los Angeles and my 13-year anniversary of being in all this stuff that I decided to change in my life at 40 years old back then. So I want to thank you for watching. And of course, what's up, Flobo? Every day of your life, not just once a week.
And say hi to your mom please say hi to your mom. She's the only ones you got.